This is the Bilal Vakani Hour on Canada Talk's SiriusXM 167, and I have an excellent panel discussion for you here. And I'm going to start with the CEO of the Invictus Games, Vancouver Whistler 2025, Scott Moore. And yes, it's the same Scott Moore who was the former director of CBC Sports and the head of production for Rogers Communications at Sportsnet and NHL Properties. Pretty much the longest title I've ever read on this show. Scott, the last time we spoke, I was a student at Toronto Metropolitan University, and I might have made it in the media industry since you spoke to my class, so I guess you gave us a good speech back in the day.
When did you graduate TMU? Was it still Ryerson then, or was
it was still, oh my God, like 2006-ish, somewhere in that decade?
2006. I graduated in 1984.
Look at the people you've inspired.
Really?
Right?
You better introduce Robyn. She's already talking.
Yeah, look, Robyn is the COO of the Invictus Games, and is going to speak about accessibility specifically. And Robyn, honestly, I found out about this at like 11:30 last night Eastern time, because you guys are out west, I'm in the east. And I was sitting on the train this morning just thinking of this in the context specifically of accessibility. And it warmed my heart even to think of questions. So I'm really looking forward to hearing your insights on this.
Excellent. Looking forward to it. Thanks for taking the time.
And so, at the Invictus Games, Vancouver Whistler, she's the brains and the looks. I'm not sure what I might be charming. That might be about all I've got.
I think he's going to get charming. Let's give him something. Throw him a bone, people.
I thought we were going to throw Scott Braun, but I guess not. We're also joined by Jay Stoyan, who I consider the Scott Moore of the Disability Channel. Okay, Scott Moore gave it a thumbs up, so there you go. It's been officially endorsed. But officially, he is the founder and working with the Invictus Games. Jay, is there anything you can't do?
I keep busy just to stay out of trouble. So the busier I am, the less trouble I can get into. That's how I look at things.
I have to share one quick story about Scott that I don't even think I've told my wife, and I probably won't get an opportunity, and I'm too humble a guy to mention it. When I was starting in the industry, a few years after Scott spoke to our class, I was at TSN 1050, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I sent him a note, and I'm just like, could I ever maybe go to the Fan 590? He not only wrote me back this email totally out of the blue, he sent it to the program director, and he very nicely told me, look, it couldn't happen right now. But reflecting on that moment now, sitting where I do like a decade later pretty much, it just meant a lot to me that I could have that hope that, maybe this isn't your time right now, but if you keep going, your time will come. So I just want to thank you, Scott. There's not even a question there.
Well, that's nice. Thank you very much, Bilal. But I'll tell you, it's really important to, no matter what stage in your career you are in, to be able to reach out and help a few people behind you, because I always say you have to be nice to everyone, because you never know which one is going to be your boss going in the next 10 years. That's why I'm nice to Robyn.
All right, we'll get to the Invictus Games here. We have the Olympics, we have the Special Olympics, but the Invictus Games are different because they are for wounded, injured, and sick service members and veterans. So, Scott, you've done so much stuff. So I'm curious as to what drew you to this, because I feel like at this point you could point a dart to basically any company in this country and they would love to have you, but this is what you chose to do, and I'm sure for a very specific reason.
Well, I think the biggest reason is for us to give back, to help those who have helped us. These games are for wounded, ill, and sick service members from all around the world. And these people have put down their lives and their health and their mental health to help their countries. And we want to create a legacy of gratitude here, that we want to say thank you to the people that have put out so much for us. Robyn's been involved in this now for almost 2 years. I came on about 5 months ago. Robyn's seen it firsthand at the Dusseldorf Games, which were in 2023. And maybe you want to share a story or two from there as to why you're inspired.
Well, I think we all come to Invictus with a different inspiration and connection. My grandfather was in the Navy. I grew up connected to the military. It's something that I hold very dear. And in Canada, it's really interesting, right? We don't always see what our incredible military is up to. But we don't recognize that actually those are the people that are fighting our fires, that are helping us with floods, more often than not, Canada's reservists and active service military are the ones that are helping us in our day-to-day lives just here in Canada. So even taking the moment to stop and honor those people who are not only saving us abroad and protecting our borders, but actually stepping up and showing up when we're here in our home has been an incredible inspiration. In Dusseldorf, I think it was one of those marquee moments of a lifetime where you sit in a crowd of people who you have no idea who they are, but everybody is coalescing and cheering around somebody who has had a horrific accident, who has something terrible has happened to them in the effort of protecting that country. And the whole place came together and honored that. And it was just those moments of sheer, like I remember standing up and screaming, "All blue!" I'm yelling for Team France. I have no idea what I'm yelling. I don't know who these people are, but the determination of this team to win or fight in wheelchair rugby was incredible. And that's what inspires me every day to lead a team that will deliver the best Invictus Games ever.
Yeah, and I can tell you that since I've come on board, I've been inspired every single day by the people we work with. And one of those people, and I want to bring Jay in here because I'm sure Jay knows Rick Hansen, who we deal with all the time. And Rick, who I've known since he did the Man in Motion tour, he reminded me when we first met after I took this job that so much of adaptive sport is because of the wounded warriors who came back after World War I or World War II. That's where the Paralympics started, after World War I, with the wounded soldiers. So there's a long tradition of using sport as a healing force, and that's what the Invictus Games are all about.
And I just would add that part of why we are, for the first time ever, introducing winter sport here in Canada, obviously True North, we have to represent and show off winter sport, but it's because of the military experience in Alpine and Nordic in their parasport, paraski efforts. So many of the military train in winter sports, and it was their opportunity to use some of that training and apply it to their journey of recovery.
Take it away, Jay.
Thanks for sharing. That's great. What a great insight, and well, great experience and great leadership, guys. I applaud you on that. As far as the disability channel goes, we started, like I said, back in 2014, but regarding the veterans, we covered the 217 here in Toronto. We interviewed actually the CEO then, Michael Burns, and they said to me, what's the disability? What is that? What do you guys do? And I said that we create employment programs for persons with disabilities to help them get off assistance, either part-time or full-time, get them a job, give them a purpose to get out of bed every morning. And they went, could you do that for veterans? We went, sure, we could do that for veterans. So since 2017 to now, which I really thank you guys for this opportunity to come out to BC to hopefully bring our employment programs, introduce them to the province of BC and duplicate what we do in Ontario and get jobs for persons with disabilities and veterans in BC and then take that around the world. So to be on the stage at the Invictus Games in 225 is priceless. And I thank you guys very much for this opportunity.
Well, you talk about a word that's really important here is purpose. You need, in any walk of life, you need to have a purpose, but sport can be that purpose for getting veterans, people with physical or mental challenges to get out and use the power of physical movement and sport in their healing process. And that's what the games are all about. I know you've got tons of questions, Bilal, but I want to tell a story about somebody that we brought on recently to work as an accessibility consultant here at the games. His name is Leland. And every Monday morning, we have a meeting where we introduce the newest members of the team. So Leland introduced himself this way. He said, I've been in the reserves since I was 16. When I graduated high school, I joined the Army. And a few years ago, I had a catastrophic injury. And I knew immediately that I was going to be paralyzed. I knew immediately my life wasn't going to be the same. And within months, I knew that I didn't want to live this way. And he admitted that he fell into a depression and considered taking his own life. Then he got a call asking him if he would consider being in the Invictus Games in Dusseldorf. He trained, he went to Dusseldorf. He said, I didn't win a medal, but I got my life back. And then he looked at the entire staff. It was an incredible moment. He looked at the staff and said, the reason I want to work here is because I want to remind each and every one of you that what you're doing every day with these games is saving lives. And it was a pretty amazing moment and a good reminder of what the purpose of these games are.
Actually, in 2017, we did interview Rick Hansen, and he's super supportive. I talked to his team actually today because now that we're coming up to BC, it would be wonderful to connect with Rick in the foundation as we are also having a fundraiser on February 2nd. The White Rock Legion has been kind enough to donate its Legion to us, and now we're working through you, who you might know, former NHLer Doug Smith.
Sure.
He's an alumni from the Vancouver Canucks. So we're also working on trying to secure some type of event at the Vancouver Arena, coincided with the February 2nd event, maybe February 5th or 6th, and then go right into the Invictus Games. But let me just add one more thing regarding the veterans. I met a veteran. He said to me, Jay, we love what you do, and I can see it in your eyes that you automatically connect with veterans. And here's why, he said. He goes, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful kind of way, but your community and you are broken. You're disabled, right? You're broken. We're broken, right? Now we're broken. And because you've been broken your whole life as a disability community, we're fresh. We're newly broken. We need your support. We don't know what we're doing. And in return, I said, persons with disabilities have always looked at veterans as strong leaders. And now we're combining the effort. We're combining the team together. And he went, this is why you connect with veterans, Jay, so much, because you've lived your whole life with an incurable illness. And I said, that's a spotlight I never even thought of. So thank you for sharing. I just wanted to add that.
We're in conversation with the CEO of the Invictus Games for Vancouver and Whistler 2025, Scott Moore. We've also got the COO, Robyn McVicker, and Jay Stoyan, the founder of the Disability Channel. You guys are doing such a great job. I could have just left the room for a few minutes there. So I just want to throw in a couple of points, and we'll run out of time anyways. And one of the most fascinating things was the balanced budget that comes with the Invictus Games. You know, we've all heard about Olympics and the aftermath and empty stadiums and overrun deficits. And I didn't even know that until I was reading up about these games. And Scott, I guess I'll start with you. You are the CEO. The buck stops with you, I would assume. How important is it for the Invictus Games to make sure they're coming to these communities and leaving them at least in the same state, if not better, than when they arrived, and not leaving them in any sort of deficit?
Yeah, it's most important for us not only to have a balanced budget, but we've committed to leaving a legacy of at least $5 million to go towards adaptive sport, to go towards veterans issues. And we'd love to take a little bit of time during the games to ask people to help build that legacy. But I talked about our legacy of gratitude that we also want to leave, but we're leaving a financial legacy, hopefully a legacy of gratitude, and a legacy for adaptive sport. And that's something that Robyn's been really, really passionate about.
Yeah, you know, it's been incredible. I think that in delivering a balanced budget, we've been working with our partners, and I'm going to highlight one in particular. The provincial government of British Columbia looked at how they could support the amateur sport communities that really ran accessible sports. Because one of the challenges is the cost of accessible equipment. We have more and more people that are trying to use accessible sport because there's more opportunity for them, but the access to equipment wasn't there. So what the provincial government did is made grants available to all the local sport organizations. They were able to apply, and we're putting almost $1 million worth of equipment and officials from the province of BC back into the local sport organization. That means sit skis. It means visual impairment guiding tools. It means Nordic tools. It's looking at new sleds for skeleton. It's looking at new wheelchairs. One of the challenges is there aren't enough wheelchairs for people to do things like wheelchair rugby and wheelchair basketball. So those legacies that are really practical are going to be supporting the accessible community here on out. And then we actually worked with the Whistler Blackcomb Foundation to access funds that would help us make some of the venues more accessible. So Whistler Sliding Center, for example, skeleton, while there is a paraskeleton sport in the world, the track itself wasn't accessible because you couldn't get up to the starting point. We're able to now make that accessible. We've made it way more accessible for people to come and view the sport. We're doing that at Nordic as well. So in each of the venues, we're working with the actual venues, Whistler Blackcomb, for example, working with the Rick Hansen Foundation. They do this wonderful accessibility certification program, but unfortunately, no resorts had ever been certified. So Whistler's taking leadership of this and helping to design what that certification looks like and improving accessibility across the mountain. So at every venue, every opportunity, we're doing what we can with the ownership and our investments with our partners to improve accessibility for an ongoing legacy.
And one of the things I'm really proud of Robyn and the team for is everything she just spoke about is in addition to the $5 million worth of legacy that we're leaving. So yeah, exactly. We're leaving equipment, we're leaving accessibility, we're leaving thinking about accessibility, because too often people just don't think about it when it comes to hotels, sport, venues. So that's a real plus and something we're really proud of as an organization.
I want to give you each a chance to just say anything you want so we don't miss anything. So, Jay, quickly, I just want to shout out before I have a special question for Scott. This is very much how you operate the Disability Channel in terms of, being revenue conscious, if that's even a term I just made up, and certainly working with corporate partners. Like that's the core of what the Disability Channel does and why you align so well with this, correct?
Yeah, like the Disability Channel is all about accessibility, all about teaching new skills in production. So what you guys were saying about the accessibility in BC, like I'm just falling in love with it because this is what we do in our programs every day, and then we get to showcase it through entertainment, including music like Shining Light, like the song, right, Scott?
Yeah, and you know what I would say, like the one thing that I wanted to share for everybody. One of the most important things for the members that are coming and competitors from all over is the impact of opening and closing ceremonies and is the impact of people watching the sport. It matters that we show up for these competitors who are coming from all over the world, a number of different nations. They're coming with their family and friends. They want to be able to show their families how their recovery is going and how they can compete. So we have recently put tickets on sale for each of these for opening and closing. We've got tickets on sale for sports. Tickets up in Whistler are free. Anybody can access the sports up in Whistler. But if you want to see some amazing wheelchair basketball and rugby and sitting volleyball, all the stuff that's happening in Vancouver, there's tickets available for that. You can find out more on our website at invictusgames2025.ca.
All right. Last one. Go ahead, Scott.
I was just going to say, Robyn wrapped it up nicely. I would just add to that, if you come to these games, I can guarantee you one thing. You are going to be inspired.
All right. There's one thing I noticed that I thought is a really hidden gem in all of this. Scott, you're known for your work with Rogers and the CBC, but the twist here is the broadcast partner for the Invictus Games is CTV and TSN, your arch rivals, if you will, in the broadcast world. I'm sure it's just going to be a great opportunity for you to work for the other side. But, maybe the games within the games to see how you integrate with your once former rivals across the pond, if you will.
Bilal, they've been terrific partners, Bell Media and TSN. CTV will carry the opening ceremonies Saturday, February 8th at 1 o'clock Pacific time. They'll carry the closing ceremonies on the 16th of February in prime time at 9 o'clock Eastern time, 6 o'clock Pacific time. Please tune in. Again, you'll be inspired. And just so you know, Bilal, I am so old that I used to work at TSN as well. I was there in 1984 when it launched.
Full circle.
I was employee number 12, I think. So I'm just returning the favor, and they've been great partners, and it's a terrific way of watching these games. There's an hour-long highlight package of the games that will run every day on TSN. If you can't make it to the games, and we'd love to see you here, but if you can't make it, please tune in. The stories of the games and these competitors will leave you truly inspired.
See, I knew that, but also I wasn't born when that happened, so you can excuse me. All right, I want to give everybody a chance. If there's anything I missed, Robyn, we talked a lot about accessibility and I had a few questions in here in terms of, with these people, if it's harder for them to admit accessibility, so you want to have the accessibility available for them so nobody has to ask. But anything you want to say about it, because it's a great topic, and me and Jay talk all the time, and I don't think we talk enough about accessibility, and I think it's something we're going to try to do more of when we have these other discussions. But I do want to give you some time for that as well.
Well, I think it comes down to the fact that this is about ability, and our job is to enable ability. Someone may have been injured, someone may have an invisible injury, which is, what we're seeing in a number of teams as well. So there's different types of impacts that people are coming to the games with. Our job is to create a calm, stable platform that will show them the opportunity to celebrate and do their absolute best. Well, there's going to be the most extraordinary medals that are related to our 4 host nation design and the incredible partnership we've had with the Indigenous communities on which the games will be played. Well, that's going to be important. The fact that people are showing up and doing their absolute best, it's what we heard from Leland, and certainly Scott talked about it. But Leland told us he was actually the last in cycling, but it was the moment of a lifetime. And our job is to make sure that we take away all the noise so that that moment of a lifetime is just clear for them.
Jay, you worked in more plugs than I think you should have, but is there anything else you want to add before we go?
All about education, providing opportunities to veterans and persons with disabilities through our Ontario-funded and soon-to-be BC-funded employment programs in media. So we are a job creator. We are supportive of a new workforce, which is filled with persons with disabilities and veterans, right? So we're adding to the mainstream workforce with people who really deserve an opportunity, right? So we're very proud. We're very excited. We're very honored, and we're very happy to be part of this big picture of the Invictus Games.
Scott, anything else you want to add before we go?
I just leave you with one little catchphrase that we heard from a participant that we met at the 1 Year to Go camp named Peacemaker. That's his name. He's a member of the Nigerian forces. His name is Peacemaker. Unfortunately, he lost a leg in a firefight with Boko Haram. He tried downhill skiing for the first time, and he tried skeleton, going down the bobsled track at 50 miles an hour head first. He tried both of them, and I asked him afterwards, I said, which did you like better, the skiing or the skeleton? He said skeleton, because in skiing, you need a lot of skill. In skeleton, all you need is courage. And what a great way to sum that up, that for a participant who has a physical injury or a mental injury, it takes courage to say, hey, I need sport to help me get through what I'm going through in my life. It takes courage to get to the starting line, and it takes courage to get to the finish line. So all you need is courage, and we would love to see you out here. Jay, we're looking forward to seeing you out here in February. If you can make it and watch the games in person, great. If you can't, watch them on CTV or TSN. And if you want to contribute to the legacy that we're going to leave at the end of the games, feel free to go to Invictus Games 2025.ca. There's a way to contribute to our legacy for veterans and for adaptive sport. And we really want to see you here to say thank you to our veterans.
Scott Moore is the CEO of the Invictus Games Vancouver Whistler 2025. Robyn McVicker is the COO, different letters, and Jay Stoyan is the founder. A great pleasure to talk to you all. And, I got goosebumps thinking about this, just watching it on TV. This is going to be spectacular, and I'll shout out, the last time this was in Canada was Toronto, 2017, so it's been a while. Great to have them back in Canada, and a great pleasure to talk to all three of you today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Bilal.
Thank you, Bilal.
Thank you, guys.
Pleasure.
Thank you, guys.
You're listening to the Bilal Vakani Hour right here on SiriusXM 167, Canada Talks.